Before the first rooster crowed, Ike was already awake. Sleep never held him for long these days. It slipped from him the same way fortune had, quietly, without warning, leaving him staring into the dark with thoughts he could not silence. He sat up on his raffia mat and listened. The village of Umuaka still slept. No pounding of yam, no laughter, no voices, just silence. Ike reached for his hoe and stepped outside. The morning air was cold against his skin, the kind that clung to your bones before the sun remembered its duty. He walked past neighboring huts, some large, some newly built with strong walls and bright roofs. Signs of progress, signs of success. None of them were his. By the time the first light broke through the sky, Ake was already in his field. He lifted the hoe and struck the earth once, twice, again. The soil was stubborn, dry in places where it should have been rich. He walked harder, faster, as if effort alone could force the land to yield. Sweat gathered at his temples. Still, nothing. He paused, leaning on the handle of his hoe, chest rising and falling. Why? He muttered under his breath. The land did not answer. It never did. By midday, the sun stood high and merciless. Eke walked back into the village, his steps heavy, his clothes clinging to his skin. He did not need to look toward the udala tree to know they were there. He heard them. Laughter, always laughter. Ah, Eke! Chibuzo called out, loud enough for everyone to hear. The great farmer returns. The men gathered under the tree chuckled. Eke forced a small smile and kept walking. Come now, another voice said. Show us your harvest. More laughter. Eke stopped. Slowly he turned. I'm walking, he said, his voice low but steady. Chibuzo grinned, spreading his arms. Walking, my friend, even the lazy goat produces something. A louder burst of laughter followed. Ike's jaw tightened. I did not come here for this. Then what did you come for? His uncle asked, his tone sharper, cutting through the amusement. The laughter faded slightly. His uncle leaned forward, resting his arms on his knees. A man does not hide behind excuses, Ike. Look around you. Ike didn't want to, but he did. New barns, healthy livestock, children running around well fed, evidence of men who had become something. You are no longer a boy, his uncle continued. When will you stand as a man? The word hit him harder than any insult. Man. Ike swallowed, his throat dry. I am trying. His uncle scoffed. Trying is what boys do. Silence settled over the group. Ike looked away first, and that was all they needed. The laughter returned, softer this time, but worse, because now it carries pity. Ike walked past them without another word, but their voices followed him. They always did. That evening, the sky burned orange before surrendering to night. Ike sat outside his hut, elbows on his knees, staring at the ground. A calabash of untouched water rested beside him. He hadn't moved in a long time. Footsteps approached. Soft, careful. You did not come by today. Ike didn't need to look up. He knew her voice. Adaku. I had nothing to say, he replied. She stepped closer and sat beside him, placing a calabash of palm wine between them. You always have something to say, she said gently. Not anymore. A small silence passed. Crickets began their evening song. Adaku studied him, her eyes filled with something he refused to name. Drink, she said, nudging the calabash toward him. Ike hesitated, then took it, swallowing deeply. The bitterness lingered, just like everything else. They spoke to you again, didn't they? She asked. Ike let out a dry laugh. When do they not? Adaku's expression hardened slightly. They talk too much. They speak the truth? No, she said firmly. They speak what they want to believe. Ike turned to her. And what do you believe? She didn't answer immediately. Instead, she reached out and placed her hand over his. I believe you are more than this. Ike stared at her hand, then slowly pulled his away. You should not. Her brows furrowed. Why? Because it will only disappoint you. Adaku shook her head. You think I don't see you, Eke. I have always seen you. He stood abruptly, pacing a few steps away. That is the problem, he snapped. You see something that is not there. Adaku rose to her feet. No, I see what you refuse to see. Ik turned, frustration flashing across his face. And what is that? Tell me. She stepped closer, her voice unwavering. A man who has not given up? Ik's expression faltered. For a moment, just a moment, something in him softened, but it didn't last. You deserve better, Adaku, he said quietly. Her lips parted slightly. I deserve who I choose. Then you have chosen wrongly. The words hung in the air between them. Heavy, final. Adaku blinked, heart flickering across her face, but she did not step back. I am not afraid of hardship, she said. I am afraid of regret. Ake looked away. You will regret me. Adaku exhaled slowly. No, she said. I will regret walking away. Night deepened. The village grew quiet, but Ake's mind did not. He lay on his mat, staring at the ceiling. The laughter, the words, the looks, Adaku's voice, they all circled him like vultures. Sleep refused him. Finally, with a frustrated sigh, he sat up. If the world would not let him rest, then he would leave it behind, at least for a while. The forest stood at the edge of the village, dark, silent, watching. Ik grabbed his spear and stepped into the night. The moment he crossed into the trees, the air changed, cooler, heavier. The sounds of the village faded behind him, replaced by something else, something listening. Ik tightened his grip on his spear. He had walked this forest before, many times, but tonight it felt different. The wind did not move, the leaves did not rustle, even the insects seemed to have disappeared. Ik slowed his steps. A strange feeling crept up his spine, as if he was no longer alone. He stopped, listened. Nothing. He exhaled, shaking his head. Just your mind, he muttered. But as he took another step, a voice drifted through the darkness. Soft, sweet, too close. Why does a man carry so much sorrow into a place that feeds on it? Ik froze. His heart slammed against his chest. Slowly, he turned, and that was when he saw her, standing between the trees, watching him, smiling. Ik did not move. For a moment, he thought his mind had finally broken under the weight of everything, because no woman should be standing there, not in that part of the forest, not at that hour. Yet she stood, calm, unmoving, as though she had always been there, waiting. The moonlight slipped through the trees and rested on her skin like it belonged to her. Who are you? Ik asked, his voice rough. She tilted her head slightly, studying him the way one studies something fragile or interesting. You heard me, she said softly, but you did not answer. Her voice wrapped around him, gentle but firm enough that it demanded attention. Ik swallowed. I came to hunt. A faint smile touched her lips. No, she said, you came to escape. The words struck deeper than he expected. Ik tightened his grip on his spear. You should not be here, he said, trying to steady himself. This forest is not safe at night. She took a step closer. The leaves beneath her feet made no sound. And yet, she murmured, here you are. Ik's breath caught. There was something wrong. Not obvious. Not something he could name. But something just beneath the surface. Still, he did not step back. What is your name? He asked. She smiled fully now. Enjele. The name lingered in the air like a whisper that refused to fade. Eke repeated it quietly. Enjele, as if tasting it. She watched him closely. And you? She asked. Eke, she nodded slowly. Ike, she echoed, as though committing it to memory. Then her gaze softened. Tell me, Ike, she said, taking another slow step closer. Why does a man who still stands walk like one who has already fallen? Ike let out a dry laugh. You speak like you know me. I don't need to know you, she replied. I can see you. Something about the way she said it made his chest tighten. No one had ever said that to him. No one had ever seen him. Not really. They laugh at you, Enjele continued, her voice barely above a whisper now. Ike stiffened. They call you nothing, she added. His jaw clenched. But they are wrong. He looked at her sharply. How would you know that? She stopped in front of him now, close enough that he could see the faint glow in her eyes. Because men who are truly nothing, she said softly, do not feel pain when they are mocked. Ike said nothing, but something inside him shifted. Angeli reached out slowly. Her fingers brushed his arm. Cold, too cold. Ike flinched slightly, but did not pull away. You feel everything, she continued. That is your strength and your cause. Her touch lingered, and for a moment the world went quiet. No thoughts, no laughter, no voices, just her. Ike exhaled slowly. I have nothing, he admitted. The words came out before he could stop them. No land that yields, no wealth, no respect. He looked away. I am tired. Angela's expression changed. Not pity, something else, something deeper. Then stop fighting alone, she said. Ike frowned slightly. What do you mean? Her lips curved into a small, knowing smile. Take what chooses you. Ike looked back at her. What has chosen me? She held his gaze. I have. Silence fell between them. Heavy. Ike felt his heart begin to race, not from fear, but something dangerously close to longing. You don't know me, he said, though his voice had softened. I know enough. She stepped even closer now, close enough that he could feel her presence like a pull. Or do you believe, she added quietly, that no one could ever choose you willingly? The words cut deep. Ika hesitated, then shook his head slightly, as if trying to clear it. This is madness, he muttered. Is it? She asked. He looked around the forest, the darkness, the silence, the unnatural stillness, then back at her. Yes, he said, though it sounded less certain now. Angeli smiled again. Then leave, she said simply. AK blinked. What? If this is madness, she continued, stepping back slightly, then walk away. She gestured toward the path behind them. Return to your village, to the laughter, to the life that has given you nothing. Her voice softened. Go? Ig didn't move. His feet felt rooted. His chest tightened. He imagined walking back. The same faces, the same voices, the same emptiness. Then he looked at her again, standing there, calm, certain, choosing him. I, he started, then stopped. Angela said nothing. She simply watched, waiting. Eke lowered his spear slowly. I don't want to go back, he admitted. Her smile deepened, slow and satisfied. I know. Another silence passed, but this one felt different, heavier, closer. Ik took a step toward her, then another. Come with me, he said. The words surprised even him. To the village. Angela's eyes flickered slightly. To your home? She asked. Yes. She studied him for a long moment, as if weighing something unseen. Then she smiled again, soft, victorious. If that is what you want, she said, it is. She stepped closer until they stood face to face. Be careful what you invite into your home, Eke, she whispered. A strange chill ran down his spine. but it passed just as quickly as it came. I am not afraid, he said. Enjele's eyes glinted. You should be. But she took his hand anyway. Her fingers curled around his. Cold. Unnatural. Ike hesitated just for a second. Then he held on. Behind them, deep within the forest, something moved. The trees seemed to lean closer. The shadows stretched longer than they should. And for a brief moment, just a brief moment, Angeli's shadow did not match her form. It was twisted, lengthened, something else entirely. But Ake did not see it. He was already leading her home. Chapter 3. The first person to see them was a child. Mama! The little boy shouted, pointing down the path. Ike is coming back with a woman. Doors opened, voices rose. By the time Eke stepped fully into Umuaka, the village was already watching and whispering. Adaku stood among them. At first she smiled, because Eka had returned, because no matter how angry he had been the night before, he always came back. But then she saw her, the woman beside him, beautiful in a way that did not sit right in the eyes, too calm, too certain. Adaku's smile faded, her stomach tightened. Ike, she called, stepping forward slowly. He stopped. For a moment, their eyes met, and something unspoken passed between them. History, memories, promises that had never needed words until now. Who is this? Adaku asked, before Ike could answer. I am his, the woman said. Her voice was soft, but it carried everywhere. Adaku blinked. I wasn't asking you, she replied, her tone sharpening. The woman smiled faintly. I know. Ike shifted uncomfortably. This is Enjele, he said. Adaku looked at him again, waiting, expecting more. There was nothing. That is all? She asked quietly. Ika hesitated. Then, I will marry her. The words dropped like a stone into still water. Silence spread. Then, murmurs, shock, disbelief. Adaku didn't react immediately. She just stared at him, as if she hadn't heard him correctly. What did you say? She asked. I have made my choice, Ik replied, more firmly this time. Something inside Adaku cracked, not loudly, not dramatically, but deep enough that she felt it. Your choice, she repeated. Her voice trembled slightly, but she steadied it. What about me? Ik looked away. That was never. Don't! She cut in sharply. Don't lie now. The villagers leaned closer. They all knew. Everyone knew. Adaku and Ike were as good as married. It had always been understood. Always. Adaku, the girl who stayed. Adaku had loved Ike long before she knew what love meant. When they were children, she was the one who fought boys twice her size when they mocked him. Leave him alone, she would shout, standing in front of him like a shield. Eke, smaller then, quieter, would pull at her arm. Adaku, stop! But she never did. When her mother scolded her, you are a girl. Why do you behave like a stubborn goat over that boy? Adaku had lifted her chin. Because he is mine. Her mother would sigh, shaking her head. That boy will bring you nothing but struggle. I don't care. You will. But Adaku never did. As they grew older, the difference between them became clearer. Adaku thrived. Her family's land was fertile. The compound grew. Suitors came, men with wealth, men with standing, men her parents approved of. But she turned them all away. I have already chosen, she would say. Her father's patience wore thin. One day, he warned, you will watch your mates live well while you suffer beside a man who cannot even stand for himself. Adaku met his gaze without fear. Then I will suffer with the man I love. Back in the present, those same villagers now watched her, waiting, watching her be undone. Adaku took a slow step towards Ik. You stood in this village, she said, her voice rising, and you let them speak to you like you were nothing. and I stood with you. Ik said nothing. I defended you, she continued. I chose you when no one else did. Her eyes burned now, not with tears, but with something hotter. And this is what you do? Ik's expression hardened slightly. I did not ask you to do those things. The words hit harder than any slap. Adaku staggered back slightly. The crowd murmured again. Even they felt that. Ik! She whispered. But he didn't look at her. Instead, Enjele stepped forward, calm, unbothered. You speak as though kindness is a debt, she said softly. Adaku turned sharply. And you speak as though you belong here, she snapped. Enjele's smile didn't fade. Do I not? No, Adaku said firmly. You don't. A tense silence followed. The air felt wrong, like something unseen had shifted. Enjele tilted her head slightly. And yet, she said, her voice almost playful now, he brought me here. Adaku clenched her fists. Then he has lost his mind. Eke's voice cut in. Enough! Both women turned to him. I have made my decision, he said. It is done. Adaku stared at him, searching his face, looking for doubt, for hesitation, for anything. But there was none. Or worse, there was something else, something unfamiliar, something that didn't feel like him. You will regret this, she said quietly. Ik didn't respond. Adaku stepped back slowly. The weight of every eye in the village pressed against her. Humiliation, betrayal, anger, it all burned inside her. But she refused to cry. Not here, not for them, not for him. She turned and walked away. Each step is steady, each breath is controlled. But the moment she reached the path leading to her family compound, her vision blurred and the tears came. Behind her, Enjele watched, still, silent, her lips curved into the faintest smile, not of happiness, not of relief, but of something far more dangerous recognition. Because she had seen women like Adaku before, strong, loyal, stubborn, the kind who did not break easily, the kind who had to be unraveled. And Enjele never lost. By evening, the entire village knew, not whispered, not rumored, known. Eke had returned from the forest with a woman no one had ever seen and declared her his wife. Inside his family compound, the air was thick with tension. His mother paced, his uncle sat silently, jaw tight. Even the younger ones, usually restless, stayed quiet, watching, listening. Ek stood at the center, and beside him, Enjele, calm, composed, as though she did not feel the weight of every eye on her. Where did you find her? His mother finally asked, her voice trembling, not with fear, but anger. Ik hesitated. In the forest. Silence. Then, in the forest? She repeated, disbelief sharp in her tone. Are you a child, Ik? His uncle leaned forward. You expect us to believe that you walked into the forest at night and came back with a wife? Ik's expression hardened. I did not ask for your belief. His mother stopped pacing. Then what did you ask for? She snapped. Because what you have brought into this house. She gestured toward Enjele without looking directly at her. Is shame. A flicker passed through Enjele's eyes. Quick, barely noticeable, but it was there. Ike stepped forward slightly. Enough. His voice was firmer now, different. I have chosen her, his uncle scoffed. You had already chosen, he said sharply. Or have you forgotten Adaku? The name lingered in the air like a warning. Ike said nothing. His mother's voice softened slightly, but it carried more weight now. That girl stood by you, she said, when no one else did. Ike's jaw tightened. That was her choice. And this? His uncle shot back. This madness, is it yours? Ike turned to him slowly. Yes. The word was simple, final. A murmur rose outside the compound. Voices, gathering, watching, waiting. The embarrassment had already begun. You have disgraced this family, his mother said quietly. That hurt more than the shouting, more than the anger, because it was true. Neighbors had begun to talk, not just about Ik, but about them. What kind of family raises a man who abandons a good woman for a stranger? What spirit has entered that house? Have they lost control of their son? Ek had it all, and still he did not bend. Send her away, his uncle said, his tone low but commanding, before this becomes something you cannot undo. At that, Enjele finally moved. She stepped forward slowly, gracefully, like someone entering a conversation she had already been part of. You speak as though I am not here, she said softly. Her voice was calm, but something in it made the room feel smaller. Ik's mother stiffened slightly. Good, so she felt it too. We are speaking of family matters, she replied coldly. Angeli smiled faintly. And I am to be part of this family, am I not? No one answered. Her gaze moved from one face to another, studying, measuring. You are concerned, she continued. I understand. Her eyes rested on Ik's mother. You fear what you do not know. His uncle scoffed. We fear foolishness. Angeli tilted her head slightly. Is it foolish, she asked gently, for a man to choose what brings him peace? Ex-mother let out a sharp laugh. Peace? She repeated. Since you stepped into this compound, there has been nothing but unrest. Angela's smile didn't fade. Change often feels like unrest. Eke stepped forward again. That is enough, he said firmly. His voice cut through the tension. I will not send her away. His mother looked at him, really looked at him, and something in her expression shifted. Not just anger now, fear. Ik, she said slowly, look at yourself. He frowned slightly. What do you mean? You came back a different man. The words hung in the air. Ik shook his head. I am the same. No, she said quietly. You are not. For a brief moment, just a brief moment, doubt flickered across his face, but it was gone just as quickly. I know what I'm doing, he said. His uncle leaned back, studying him. Do you? Outside, the murmurs grew louder, laughter mixed with speculation, the kind that spreads quickly and stains deeply. Ek turned toward Enjele. Come, he said, without waiting for approval, without looking back. He walked out of the compound, and she followed. As they stepped into the open, the villagers fell silent, watching, judging, whispering behind still lips. Ik felt it, every stare, every unspoken word, but he kept walking, head high, pride intact, or at least what remained of it. Inside the compound, his mother sank onto a stool. This will not end well, she whispered. His uncle nodded slowly. No, he said, it won't. That night, Enjele entered Eki's home. She moved through the space like she had always belonged there, touching things lightly, observing quietly. Eke watched her. Something about her presence made the room feel full, warmer, yet somehow colder. You should rest, she said softly, turning to him. You look tired. Ik exhaled. I am. Then sleep, she said. Her voice carried that same strange softness, the kind that didn't just suggest, it settled. Ike lay down, and almost instantly his eyes grew heavy, too heavy. Within moments, he was asleep. Angela stood over him, watching, her expression unreadable. The silence stretched. Then, slowly, she straightened. Her body shifted slightly, subtly, like something loosening beneath the surface. She turned toward the door and stepped outside. The night air welcomed her. The village slept, but the forest was awake. From the shadows, a figure watched her, hidden, Still, Adaku. Her eyes narrowed. I knew it, she whispered. Enjele walked past her without a glance, as if she already knew she was there. Adaku hesitated, then followed. Quiet, careful, determined. Ahead, Enjele moved toward the forest, not like a woman walking, but like something being called home. And this time, Adaku would see. Adaku kept her distance. Step by step, she followed, barefoot against the cool earth, careful not to snap a twig, not to disturb the silence that clung unnaturally to the night. Ahead of her, Enjele moved, but not like before, not like a woman aware of her surroundings. Her body swayed slightly, slow, unsteady, as though sleep had taken her, but her feet refused to rest. Adaku frowned. This is not normal, she whispered. The deeper they went, the thicker the darkness became. The familiar parts of the village faded behind them. The air grew heavier, colder. Even the smell of the forest changed. Damp, stale, wrong. Adaku's heart pounded louder with every step. Still, she did not turn back. Enjele stopped suddenly, so abruptly that Adaku nearly stumbled forward. She froze behind a thick tree, holding her breath. Enjele stood in the middle of a small clearing, completely still, her head tilted slightly upward, as if listening, but there was nothing. No wind, no insects, no sound, just silence. Then she spoke, but not like before. Her voice was different, deeper, layered, like more than one voice trying to pass through the same mouth. You called me. Adaku's blood ran cold. Called? Who? From the shadows beyond the clearing, something shifted. At first, Adaku thought it was just the trees. Then it moved again, slow, deliberate, shapes, dark, unclear, watching, waiting. Adaku pressed her back against the tree, her breath trembling. This is not a woman, she thought. Angel took a step forward. Her body jerked slightly, unnatural, like something inside her was stretching, waking. You hunger, that layered voice continued. A low murmur seemed to answer from the darkness. Not words, but something that felt like agreement. Adaku covered her mouth to stop herself from gasping. Her eyes burned as she tried to make sense of what she was seeing. Then Enjele laughed, soft at first, then wider, longer. The sound didn't belong in a human throat. It echoed strangely, bouncing off nothing. I have brought one, she said. Adaku's stomach dropped. Brought one? Ache. The shadow stared again, closer now, curious, hungry. Adaku squeezed her eyes shut for a brief moment. Think, she told herself. Think. But fear clawed at her thoughts. When she opened her eyes again, Enjele was no longer standing still. Her body changed, not all at once, not completely, but enough. Her back arched unnaturally, her head tilted too far, her fingers stretched longer than they should be, and her smile too wide, far too wide. Adaku beat down on her hand to stop a scream. Tears filled her eyes. That is not her, she thought. That cannot be her. Suddenly, Angela's head snapped to the side, toward Adaku. Adaku froze. Every part of her body went still. Even her breathing stopped. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then Angela smiled again, but this time it was different, knowing, aware, as if she could see her, even through the darkness, even through the trees. Adaku's heart pounded so hard she was sure it would give her away. But Angela turned back towards the clearing, as if she had decided. Not yet. I will feed, she said calmly, slowly. The shadows seemed to settle at that. Satisfied, Adaku didn't wait. She turned and ran. Branches scratched her skin, roots caught at her feet. But she didn't stop. She didn't look back. She couldn't. By the time she reached the edge of the village, Her chest burned, her legs weak, but her mind was clearer than it had ever been. She's not human. The words echoed over and over. She's not human. At Ike's hut, everything was quiet. Too quiet. Adaku pushed the door open. Ike lay on the mat, still, unmoving. His chest rose and fell slowly, too slowly. Ike, she whispered, rushing to his side. She shook him. Nothing. Ike! He didn't stir. His skin felt cold. Not dead, but not right. Adaku's fear turned to anger. This is what she is doing to you, she muttered. Footsteps. Soft, behind her. Adaku turned sharply. Enjele stood in the doorway, perfect, composed, as though she had never left. Their eyes met. Silence filled the room. Then Angel smiled. You shouldn't wander at night, she said softly. Adaku stepped in front of Ake instinctively. You are not human. Angel's smile didn't fade. And yet, she replied calmly, he chose me. Adaku's hands trembled, but she stood her ground. I saw you. A pause, a flicker in Enjele's eyes. Then, I know. The room seemed to shrink. You think you can take him? Adaku continued, her voice shaking but loud. You think I will let you destroy him? Enjele stepped inside, slowly, gracefully, dangerously. You already are letting me, she said. Adaku's breath caught. You stand here, Enjele continued, watching, knowing, and yet he still sleeps. She gestured lightly toward Ike. What will you do, Adaku? Her name sounded different in Enjele's mouth, like it meant something else, something fragile, something breakable. Adaku clenched her fists. I will stop you. Enjele laughed softly, not loud, not dramatic, but chilling. You can try. She stepped closer, close enough that Adaku could feel that unnatural cold again. But you will fail. Adaku shook her head. No. Enjele leaned in slightly, her voice dropped to a whisper. I have never failed. Ike stirred slightly on the mat. Both women turned. He groaned softly, his eyes fluttering open. Ike! Adaku rushed to him. He blinked, disoriented. What happened? Adaku grabbed his arm. You need to listen to me. I had a dream. He interrupted weakly. His gaze drifted past her to Enjele, and something in his expression softened instantly. She was there, he murmured. Adaku froze. What? Enjele smiled gently. Just a dream, she said. Eke nodded slowly. Yes, just a dream. Adaku stared at him in disbelief. No, she said. It wasn't enough. Eke snapped suddenly, pulling his arm away from her. The force of it shocked her. I am tired of this, he continued, his voice strained. Your accusations, your jealousy. Jealousy? Adaku repeated, stunned. Yes, he said. You cannot accept that I have moved on. Adaku looked at him as if she didn't recognize him. This isn't you. It is, he said coldly. No, she whispered. She's changing you. Ike stood up unsteadily. Leave. The word hit her harder than anything else. Ike, leave, he repeated. Silence, heavy, final. Adaku stepped back slowly, her eyes never leaving him. Then she turned and walked out. Outside, the night felt colder than before, darker, more dangerous, but this time Adaku wasn't afraid, not in the same way. Now she was certain, and certainty burned stronger than fear. I will not lose you, she whispered into the night, not to her. Inside the hut, Enjele watched Eke. Her smile faded slightly, just for a moment, because something had changed, not in him, but in Adaku. And that made things interesting. Morning came, but it did not feel like morning. The sun rose over Umuaka as it always did, spilling light across rooftops and waking the village with warmth. But in Ike's compound, the light did not seem to enter. Ike sat outside his hut, staring at his hands. They trembled, slightly, but enough. He clenched them into fists. The trembling didn't stop. A dull ache settled deep in his bones, like something was slowly hollowing him out from the inside. You didn't sleep well? Enjele said softly from behind him. He didn't turn. I slept, he replied, but I don't feel rested. Enjele stepped beside him, her presence quiet, controlled. That happens sometimes, she said gently. Her fingers brushed his shoulder. Ike stiffened, cold. Again, that unnatural cold. But then it faded, just like before. AK exhaled slowly. Maybe I'm just tired, he muttered. Angela smiled faintly. Yes, she said, just tired. Across the village, the whispers had changed. They were no longer amused. Now they were uneasy. Have you seen him today? He looks different. Something is wrong in that house. Women spoke in hushed tones as they pounded yam. Men glanced toward Ike's compound more often than they should. Even children kept their distance because something unseen had begun to spread. A feeling that clung to the air. At the Udala tree, Eke's uncle sat with the elders. He's fading, one of them said quietly. I saw him this morning, another added. His eyes, they are not steady. His uncle nodded slowly. And the woman? A pause. Then, she does not belong. The words settled heavily among them. Back at the compound, Ike's mother stood at the doorway, watching her son. Her heart tightened. This is not ordinary, she whispered. Then it is time we stop pretending it is. The voice came from behind her. Adaku! She stepped into the compound, her face set, her eyes sharper than they had ever been. Ike's mother turned. You have come back, she said, surprised. Adaku nodded. I never left. There was something different about her now. Less softness, more resolve. Ike's mother studied her carefully. You have seen something, she said. Adaku held her gaze. Yes. A silence passed between them. Then Ek's mother stepped closer. Tell me. Inside the hut, Ek lay down again. The weakness came in waves now. Heavy, unrelenting, he closed his eyes. And immediately, the dreams returned. He was in the forest, but not as himself. He could feel it. Something was wrong. His body felt lighter, hollow, like he was walking without weight. AK, the voice echoed around him. Soft, calling. He turned. Enjele stood in the distance, but she wasn't alone. Behind her, shadows, moving, breathing, waiting. Ake tried to step back, but his feet wouldn't move. His body didn't respond. Come, Enjele said, her voice layered again. Not one, but many. Ake shook his head. No, but his body moved anyway, toward her. He woke up gasping. His chest heaved violently. Sweat covered his body. But the room felt cold. Too cold. Outside, Adaku finished speaking. Ike's mother stood frozen. Her face was pale. No, she whispered. No, that cannot be. I saw her, Adaku said firmly. Not as she pretends to be, but what she truly is. Ike's mother shook her head slowly, fear creeping into her eyes. A spirit. Adaku didn't answer. She didn't need to. Footsteps approached. Both women turned. Enjele. She stood at the entrance, silent, listening. Her eyes moved between them, taking everything in. You speak of things you do not understand, she said calmly. Adaku stepped forward immediately. I understand enough. Enjele's lips curved slightly. Do you? Ike's mother stepped back instinctively, fear now clear on her face. What are you? She asked, her voice trembling. Enjele looked at her, really looked at her, and for a brief moment something slipped. Not her face, not fully, but her eyes. Dark, endless, hungry. Ike's mother gasped, but just as quickly it was gone. Angela smiled again. I am the woman your son chose, she said softly. No, Adaku snapped. You are what is killing him. A pause. Then Enjele stepped closer. You speak boldly for someone who is powerless, she said. Adaku didn't move. I am not powerless. Enjele tilted her head. No, Adaku's voice dropped. I am going to stop you. For the first time, Enjele's smile faltered. Not gone, but thinner, sharper, dangerous. Then try, she said quietly. That night, Adaku did not return home. Instead, she walked alone, past the edge of the village, beyond the paths most people avoided, to a place where answers were not given freely, but could be taken. A small hut stood beneath an ancient tree. The air around it felt different, heavy, aware. Adaku stopped at the entrance. Her heart pounded, not from fear, but from what she knew this meant. Once she stepped inside, there would be no turning back. I know you are there, she said. Silence. Then a voice, old, calm. And I know why you have come. Adaku stepped inside. The Dibia sat in the shadows, his eyes opened slowly, sharp, knowing. You have brought something with you, he said. Adaku frowned. I came alone. The Dibia shook his head. No. He leaned forward slightly. You have been seen. Adaku's blood ran cold. Back in the village, Enjele stood outside Ike's hut, looking toward the direction Adaku had gone. Her expression is unreadable, but her eyes, they followed. She has chosen a path, Enjele whispered softly. A faint smile returned. Good. Doubt crept into Ike slowly, like rot. Not suddenly, not loud, but quiet, persistent, eating away at him piece by piece. At first, it was small things. His reflection lingered too long in the water. His eyes looked distant, like they belonged to someone watching from far away. Then his body began to fail him, his strength gone, his appetite fading. Even the simplest tasks left him breathless. The villagers noticed. Of course they did. But no one spoke to him anymore, not directly, only in whispers, only from a distance. And the dreams, dark, endless, hungry, they came every night without mercy, without warning. Ike would find himself standing in the forest, always the same place, always deeper than he remembered going. The trees loomed taller there, thicker, watching, and she was always there, waiting. Ik, her voice would call to him, soft, inviting, but layered with something else, something beneath it. He would try to run, but his legs refused. He would try to speak, but no sound came. And then the shadows would move, not around her, with her, breathing, shifting, hungry. Ik began to fear sleep, but sleep came anyway, heavy, unstoppable, like something dragging him under. One night it was different. Ik woke suddenly, not from a dream, but from something else. A feeling, a pull. The hut was quiet, too quiet. He sat up slowly. His body ached, his head spun. But something inside him, something deep, told him to move. The door creaked open. Cool air rushed in, and there, in the distance, he saw her, Enjele, walking, slow, unsteady, like before, like every night. Ike frowned. His chest tightened. This time, he didn't ignore it. He stood, his legs are weak beneath him, but he forced them forward. One step, then another. I need to know, he whispered. He followed her, past the edge of the village, into the forest. The deeper they went, the worse it felt. The air grew thick, heavy, like it didn't want him there. But he kept going. Branches scratched his skin, roots stripped his feet, but he didn't stop. He couldn't, because something inside him was waking. Enjele stopped. In a clearing, the same clearing. Eke froze behind a tree. His breath was shallow. His heart was pounding. Then he saw it. Not Enjele, not the woman he brought home, but something else. Her body twisted unnaturally, bones shifting beneath her skin, Her limbs stretched too long, too thin, her fingers curled into shapes no human hand could hold, and her face, it split into something wrong, something hollow, something grinning far too wide, a horror wearing her. Ike's breath caught in his throat. No, he whispered. The shadows around her moved, not like darkness, but like living things, sliding, crawling, watching. She stood at the center of it all, not afraid, not human, something ancient, something hungry. Ike took a step back. A twig snapped beneath his foot. Silence. The creature stopped. Slowly, too slowly, its head turned toward him. Those hollow eyes locked onto his. And then it smiled. Not Enjele's smile. Not anything human. Something deeper. Something that knew him. Ike stumbled back. His heart is racing wildly now. No, no, no. The creature moved, not walking, not running, gliding, twisting, closing the distance far too quickly. Ike turned and ran. Branches tore at him. The forest shifted around him. Paths disappeared. Shadows stretched. Behind him, he could hear it. Not footsteps. Something worse. Something sliding. Something laughing. He dared not look back, but he felt it. Closer, closer, closer. A hand, too long, too cold, brushed the back of his neck. Ike screamed. He fell hard. The ground knocked the air from his lungs. He turned, desperate, terrified, and there it was, hovering over him. That hollow face, that impossible smile. You came looking, it whispered, its voice layered, broken, endless. Ike shook his head violently. This is not real. This is not real. The creature leaned closer. So small, it murmured. So easy. The shadows around them pulsed, breathing, hungry. Ike closed his eyes, screaming, and then silence. Ike woke up, gasping. Back in his hut, sweat soaked his body. His chest rose and fell rapidly. The room was still, quiet, normal. Enjele sat beside him. Her hand gently stroked his head. You had another nightmare, she said softly. Ike blinked, confused, disoriented. What happened? He whispered. Angela smiled, warm, gentle, familiar. Nothing, she said. Just dreams. Ike frowned slightly. His heart still raced, his body still trembled, but his mind felt foggy, like something had been taken from it. I, he started, then stopped. The memory slipped. Gone. Ike exhaled slowly. Yes, he murmured. Just dreams. Angela's smile lingered, but her eyes darkened, because she knew he had seen her, and it didn't matter. He would forget. They always did. The forest did not feel the same anymore. Adaku knew it the moment she stepped into it. It was no longer a place of trees and paths and familiar shadows. It had become something else, something that watched back. Come, a voice called softly, not loud, not distant, right beside her. Adako didn't turn. I'm here, she said. Her voice was steady, but only just. A soft laugh followed, low, amused. You walked into it this time, Enjele said, stepping out from behind a tree. Moonlight rested on her skin like she belonged to it. Beautiful, untouched. Adako faced her. I know what you are. Enjele smiled, not surprised, not offended. They all say that, she replied. A silence stretched between them. The forest stilled, listening. You feed on them, Adako continued. You take them piece by piece. Enjele stepped closer, slow, measured. Yes, the answer came easily, too easily. Adaku's jaw tightened. And you won't stop. Enjele's smile widened slightly. Why would I? The question lingered, heavy, unanswered. Adaku stepped forward. You're not living here with him. Enjele paused. Then she laughed, not loud, not wild, but something about it felt old. You still think this is about him? She asked. Adaku didn't answer. Enjele circled her slowly, like a hunter that already knew the outcome. I have walked this land longer than your stories remember, she said softly. I have worn faces sweeter than mine, voices gentler than yours. She leaned slightly closer, and they all believed they could stop me. Adaku turned to face her again. You're a liar. Angela's eyes flickered, then it darkened. No, she said quietly. I'm consistent. The air dropped, cold. Look at me, Angela said. Adaku didn't move. I won't. A pause. Then, faster than thought, Angela grabbed her. Cold fingers locked around her jaw, forcing her face upward. I said, Angela whispered, her voice no longer soft. Look at me. Adaku struggled, but her body would not listen. Their eyes met, and the world fell apart. It did not fade. It shattered. Voices filled her head, not one, not 10, hundreds. Men crying, begging, whispering names. Faces rushed past her. Different tribes, different times, different lives, all the same ending, death. Adaku gasped, her knees buckled, but Enjele held her up. You wanted truth, Enjele said, her voice echoing inside her mind. Now you would drown in it. Adaku tried to look away. She couldn't. You think you are the first, Enjele continued. I have fed on kings who thought themselves untouchable, hunters who believed the forest feared them. A pause, a soft, cruel smile. Lovers who swore they would die for each other. Ik appeared among the faces, weak, fading. Adaku's breath itched. No. Yes, Enjele whispered. The visions deepened. She saw them all, men sitting just like Ike, alive but not living. Shells. I don't take them quickly, Enjele said. Her voice softened again, but it was worse now. Smoother, slippery. I let them stay, she continued. I let them feel themselves disappear. Adaku shook her head. Tears streamed down her face. Stop. I have never lost, Enjele said. The words landed differently. Not loud, not dramatic, just certain. Not once, she continued. Not to priests, not to warriors, not to women like you. Adaku's mind strained, cracked. You fight because you love him, Enjele whispered, close to her ear. And that is why you will break. Something inside Adaku gave way, not all at once, slowly. Her thoughts tangled, slipped, turned against her. The voices grew louder. The images are sharper. Ike reaching for her, but never touching. Ike calling her name, but she couldn't hear it fully. Everything stretched, twisted. You will remember this, Enjele murmured. Every night, every moment. Adaku let out a broken sound. Not quite a scream, not quite a sob. Her body went still, her eyes wide, unfocused, gone. Enjele released her. Adaku dropped to her knees, but it didn't fall, didn't move. She just stayed there, breathing. Barely. Enjele watched her for a moment, then turned away. Already done. Morning came. Egg sat outside his hut, silent. His body is thinner. His face was drawn. His mother called his name. He didn't respond. Enjele stood behind him. Her hand rested lightly on his shoulder. He leaned into it. Without thinking, across the compound, Adaku sat under a tree. Still, her eyes followed nothing, saw nothing. Sometimes, she smiled. At nothing. Sometimes, she whispered, words no one understood. The villagers kept their distance. She's not right, they said. They were wrong. She knew too much. That night, the forest called again. Another man walked into it, young, curious, unaware. Who's there? He called. A voice answered, soft, warm. Why are you alone? He turned and saw her, beautiful, smiling, waiting. Back in the village, Ik slept, deep, unmoving. Adaku sat awake, eyes open, listening because she could still hear them. All of them. And in the forest, Enjele fed, like she always had, like she always would, because some things do not end, they only choose again.